We're back. This time we're looking at the Pirates and Bounty Hunters expansion for Firefly the game. This is the first one we've seen that actually adds quite a bit to the game and actually changes it somewhat from a single player player versus environment type game where you're playing against the game more than you are against the other players to actually adding some PvP elements. Some people might like it, some people might not. The nice thing is the way it's done through the use of cards, you can add those features or not add those features and still use other parts of the game. There's 2 new ships in here as well as some other new stuff, and definitely adds quite a bit. First thing you'll notice is it's quite a bit thicker than the ship expansions. This one's almost as thick as the actual box itself. Got a quick look here on the back of everything that's included, as well as the 2 new ships and a little bit about them, and the fact that it adds 2 more players to the game. First thing we have is our additional rule book here for the expansion. Got that nice artwork. It's also the box cover. Basically explains the new piracy jobs and bounty hunter cards that are included, the new ships and how they work, how to incorporate everything into your existing game, new boarding actions, which are kind of nice, and showdowns, which is how you can basically PvP with other players, board their ship and steal their equipment. Whole section on piracy, section on stealing goods and bounty hunting. The new bounty hunting cards are kind of cool. More about bounty hunting. And a section explaining the new haven mechanic and how they work. It's the first time this is actually added as far as rules go. So you actually get 2 new ships in this expansion. First non-Firefly ships we've seen. First one we have here is the SS Walden, which is hard to get a clear picture on there, but it's basically a giant cargo. They call it a salvage scow. Has a special ability there. Completing piracy jobs also count as salvage ops. Can be useful depending on your crew. You get your 1 main drive, 3 upgrade slots, crew of 6. You have a 15 slot cargo bay, but the drawback is you have no stash whatsoever, so everything's out there for everyone to see. So our Walden specifically comes with 2 crewmen. First is your captain, Sash, counts as a pirate. It has an interesting ability. When you complete a piracy job, you steal 500 from the targeted rival, which is kind of cool. Always counts as having a hacking rig, which is also cool, and has a decent amount of stats. He can be used as a captain for any ship. Next we have our Caspian 28 HD drive core. Only has a range of 4, which kind of sucks. It's unique, cannot be replaced, and can only be used on this ship, and it is immune to the heavy load penalty. They also forget to mention on here that it takes a fuel to burn. People have argued back and forth whether it does or not. A lot of people play that it doesn't because that's the way the card's written. It also balances the ship a little, makes it a little more worthwhile. At the same time, I think it was errated at one point that it does use fuel. It was just missed on the card. So take that or leave it how you want, but that's the way it's written. The next ship's the complete opposite and completely different take on a ship. This time we have the Interceptor. This one gets a main drive and only 2 upgrade slots. A crew of 4, which seems excessive for this type of ship, but hey, only 4 cargo slots, no stash whatsoever. On the perk on this one is the optional get to reroll tech-based boarding tests, and each currently installed upgrade reduces the Interceptor's drive core range by 1, which means basically you're adding more weight, slowing down the ship. But at the same time, the core that comes with this one's pretty mean. For the Interceptor, we have Jabal early. He's a captain. He counts as a pilot and a bounty hunter. Plus 2 combat bonus when attacking in a showdown. He can carry up to 2 gear. You can get 1 of each. He's kind of an all-around good guy there. Next we have the Echelon LR8 drive core. This has a jump range of 8, which is crazy high. It's unique. cannot be replaced and can only be used on the Interceptor, and it does not require fuel to initiate a burn. That one's pretty beastly, and again, the Interceptor, if you put any extra equipment on there, though, it does reduce that number down because of the added weight. We get a full new set of tokens for fuel, parts, passengers and fugitives, contraband and cargo, new gold tokens, disgruntled tokens, and these new ones, which are used as the destination tokens. Certain missions call for you to go to specific locations. These can be used during the setup to designate those locations. On the back side of those are actually the new Haven tokens. You have a new set of mission cards for each of the 5 contacts that come with the base game. These ones are all piracy related, and it's one of the things you can use or not use, basically depending on if you want to add player versus player to your games or not. Most of them follow the same basic format. They'll say piracy is your job type. Gives you a restriction. You have to go rival with another ship that doesn't have good faction with patience, or isn't currently working on one of her jobs. They're pretty much all that way for all the different guys. You have to board their ship using the boarding test rules over here. Win the showdown and get these, and then your pay depends on what you manage to steal from them. Pretty much just the ones from Harkin are legal, everybody else's are illegal. As I said, this is one of the components you can add or not add depending on if you want to add that player versus player aspect to your games or not. Next we have the bounty hunter cards. These ones are kind of neat. They add a new aspect to the game. You could either go to a planet and try to find a fugitive who happens to be on one of the planets in your supply deck, or you can turn in someone who's on your own crew, or you can go board somebody else's ship, try to kidnap one of their crew, and turn them in. You have your different fugitives in here. River and Simon, of course. There's more generic cards, such as just bandits in general. They explain what you have to do to win, to apprehend them, and how much you're going to get for turning them in, and where you need to drop them off. There's a bunch of different ways to do these. One thing that I have seen a lot of people do is, instead of starting with the way that they're described in the rulebook, they start by only turning over 1 and then adding as time goes to the pile so that there's more warrants out available. If you put all of them out at once, like the rules say, you could run into a situation where somebody's on a starting planet and the person that happens to pop up with a warrant is right there on the planet at the start, and they can cash in these huge bonuses on the first turn of the game or early on in the game and get an advantage. So limiting how many of these are available at the beginning of the game kind of negates that to an extent. It's another component that can be added to the game. You can skip this entirely. I kind of like the way that this expansion's modular, so you can customize the game to the type of play that you and the people you're playing with want to do. Next thing we have is a set of 5 new cards for each of the supply decks that are in the base set of the game here. From the Space Bazaar, EVA suits, which give you a bonus to boarding, as well as ignoring Alliance checks for certain crew. We have a new crewman who's an intel broker. We have some combat armor, a new hacking rig, and a pistol. Those are all from early the bounty hunter. For Silverhold, got some new bandits. You complete a piracy job, steal 200 from targeted rival. I believe all the bandits do the same thing. I have a new grifter. Another one of the new gambling games. Once these are in the discard deck, you can keep replaying them, and uses the misbehaved deck to match up cards and basically gamble if you want to win or lose some money. You got federal marshals, and lawman is a new keyword that's gone over in the rule book. They basically can't do illegal jobs. Then we have meadows. That's it for Silverhold. Regina, we have bandits. A lot of these guys were added because of the bounties to pick them up, but they also make decent crewmen. Another bandit. As a deputy, counts as a lawman. Ship upgrade, mag grapplers, good for boarding. Again, if you're not going to be doing the player versus player, things like these, you might want to pull out. New weapon. Another Lawmen. On Persephone. New ship upgrade, booby traps. Kind of entertaining if you're being boarded. They can also be used as explosives. We have a cryostasis unit, along with a naked picture of river. Keeps people from boarding your ship and trying to steal a bounty that you're about to turn in. Also lets one of your crew ignore an Alliance wanted roll. Got firearms. Another lawman. Then we have scan-proof shades. Kind of an interesting upgrade there. And from the Osiris Shipworks, have another lawman. Electronic defense suites for your ships. Kind of interesting one. Let you avoid the reaver, which is nice, as well as bonuses for boarding. You have a guardian, counts as a medic, and some sonic rifles, which are good in showdowns. Expansion comes with 3 new scenario mission cards, 2 of which are PvP focused for experienced players. One they didn't mention anything on, but it's kind of another co-op race type mission like the original ones in the base game. Another Man's Treasure is the first one that uses the Haven tokens to declare yourself basically a home port, and basically you're running cargo to your home port, filling it up with supplies for future use, and getting your gold tokens for doing so. Next one's the choices we make, which basically after you do your starting jobs, all the remaining piracy jobs are available to everyone. You can actually steal gold tokens from each other. And pretty much every goal in the game is done through a piracy job, crime job, bounty, or smuggling. And you need to be the first to get to 5 gold. The last one here, Jailbreak's kind of interesting. You take the bounty hunter cards and match them up with the proper crew cards. They're actually being held prisoner, and the whole base of the goals here is to go to the Alliance cruiser, try to bust out one of the crewmen, and then go back to Badger and have him clear your record, and then rinse and repeat. The first person to get to Three Hills, Georgia with 2 goals wins the game. The ships for this one are kind of interesting and unique. First up we have the Warren here. I think my arms are bent on mine just a hair. Maybe not. Big, bulky, ugly looking cargo ship. Definitely a change from the Fireflies. And in complete contrast we have the Interceptor, which is this tiny little, almost a fighter. Neat little ship. Fast little thing, just doesn't have a lot of cargo space. And just for size reference, there's the Interceptor and the Warren next to a standard Firefly. Overall, it's a great expansion to the game. If you're looking to add new ships, there's some cool new ships in here with new abilities. If you're looking to add some new features, the bounty hunter contracts are kind of cool. The piracy aspect, being able to board and steal things from other players, adds a lot more player interaction to the game. I know when I'm playing with my kids, we're not really into the player versus player aspect, so we kind of leave those parts out, which is also a nice thing that this expansion is modular and lets you do that, pick and choose what you want to add. Handful of new story missions are kind of cool. The two of them are pretty heavily PvP based, but the other one where you're rescuing the fugitives is a very interesting and fun game to try. Overall, it's a really cool expansion. If you're looking to add just a little bit more player interaction to your Firefly games, then definitely this is the way to go. If you're happy with your games the way they are and you just want some little more variety and a few new features, again, it's an awesome way to go for that. If you like the game, you're definitely going to like this. If you're questionable about the game because of the lack of player interaction, then this may sway your mind one way or the other. In the end, it's up to you, but definitely a win in my book. And we'll see you in the next video.